So with all of the videos that you've worked on and had passion projects for and really wanted to become a success, has there ever been something that you put a lot of work into that didn't necessarily reach the audience that you were hoping? Or if it did reach the audience, maybe those 100,000 people may have not liked it?
Well, you know, there's always like, for example, you focus a lot on Zelda.
Yeah.
Am I right? I wore this today just for you, by the way.
Yeah, I noticed it was pretty cool shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So you focus a lot on Zelda.
Yeah.
Right? Now, let's say you were to just throw your heart at this video, but it has nothing to do with Zelda, but you built your audience on Zelda.
Yeah, I actually have something that happened like that really recently. I started, if you know who Yuri of Wind is, he has a YouTube series called Gaming Mysteries, where he mostly focuses on canceled or beta versions of games and stuff, sort of like beta questing, but in its own way. And it gave me the inspiration to do just like a top 5 series of canceled games. I did Mario. It turned into one of my most watched videos really fast. It quickly reached, I think it's at like over 400,000 views now.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, I did Zelda, which got half as many views, which I thought was odd. But still 200,000 views is a good number. And then I did Nintendo. It did fairly well at 30,000 views, somewhere like that. And then I was like, okay, well, I focused on Mario games, I focused on Zelda games, I did just broad, general Nintendo games. What if I do PlayStation games? Post it to the same audience, and it's failing to reach like 2,000 views, even though I worked harder on it than the other videos. So that was my video to where I was like, oh, they're going to really like this. It's going to be different, but it's still the same type of content. They're going to love it. Nope.
Yeah.
No one cared.
Some channels can get away with that. Some channels have more trouble doing that. Like, and our channel is one of the ones that has that issue where it's like you put your heart and soul into something, but you built your audience. Your audience is expecting this, and so if you don't give that to them, they may not watch it. And YouTube's algorithm sees that it's unrelated to what they previously watched and doesn't show them your video.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of a double whammy, basically. So there's definitely situations like that. To answer your question, one video that I was kind of, it had overall very positive response, but a small minority of people had a very negative response to it. Was we did a mockumentary called Lot of Boys, The Secret History of the GameCube. And it was a 25-30 minute mockumentary. So a mockumentary being a documentary, but it's fake, right? Yeah. So it's supposed to be sort of low concept humor is basically what it is. So it's very silly. Like, it's almost all lies. Like, you know, it's just saying ridiculous things like about the GameCube and the history of it and this, but sprinkled with facts, so you almost believe it.
I actually, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I had a similar idea to do a video for this year's, or the recent April Fool's Day. I was going to post an interview that would have been like an in-depth history of Shigeru Miyamoto. And it would be about 10 minutes long, and about halfway through the videos, it would be giving you complete facts, but then around the 4 or 5 minute mark, it would start to slip in just insanely obscure things that a lot of people would be like, oh, I didn't know that. And then at the end, it was just going to, like, those little small tidbits was going to basically lead up to him being a vampire. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, like it would start out like saying stuff like he didn't sleep much on his bed and stuff. We're like, oh, that's odd. And then like going out at night and stuff, and it's like, well, I'm a night owl too, so I guess that's not too weird. But then at the end of it, it would just be like completely about how he was a vampire, even though it started out as, and I thought it would be something to where like half the video would be facts giving people real information, but then the other half would just be complete nonsense. I thought it would be funny, but I never got around to it. But
yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those things. Like, we worked on it for a better part of a year. My wife did animation for it. Like, there were a bunch of animated segments in it, tons of original art, all that stuff. And at the time, it got more views than any of our other videos. I think I got like 10 or 13,000. At the time, our videos were getting like 500 or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa, this is a ton of viewership, because there were a lot of, it was very collaborative, so people were funneling their viewers into it. But there were also a lot of comments from our subscribers that were like, what the hell is this? This isn't the reason why I subscribed to you. I'm unsubbing, even though I could watch any of your other videos and just not watch this one, or just wait a week for another video.
Yeah.
I'm unsubbing because I'm so offended. So again, a very small minority, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, sometimes the way you build your audience, you want to branch out, but it restricts you a little bit, which sucks. But at the same time, I try not to pay too much attention to it. It's like, you know what, if you're doing it for fun, you know, or there has to be some fun aspect to it for you, you just got to roll with it, you know, and enjoy yourself. Hopefully I'm not complaining too much, but at the time I was very surprised that it got this very positive, but then the negative was so sharp. You know?
I kind of put myself in a corner, because when I started my YouTube channel, it was talking about, at the time, Zelda Wii U, which is what everyone thought of Breath of the Wild. But I was basically doing news theories on that and stuff, and then it reached to a certain point where it was like, oh, Breath of the Wild comes out in a few months. What am I going to do after that? Because everything to this point has been Zelda, Zelda, Zelda. With no new big Zelda game coming out, there's not going to be anything for me to talk about. So then I just tried a bunch of different things to see what people would enjoy, and the canceled or unreleased games, which is kind of funny because I was talking to Andrew, which is Yuri of Wind, and I was I asked him, like, with your videos talking about canceled games, what's something that you could use? Because everyone already has beta. I don't want to seem like I'm putting beta in something to copy someone. I don't want to put like anything close to gaming mysteries because it would be too close to yours. And then he gave me a bunch of names that he tried whenever he first started, and I ended up going with gaming history, which because it puts me in a spot to where it doesn't have to be focused on canceled games. It could just be talking about games from the past, or like the history of the Virtual Boy or something like that. That way it's not something that's strictly canceled. So yeah, that was one of the things that I've been really passionate about lately, because it's been doing well. I just have to focus on Nintendo and not PlayStation, apparently.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, it's just one of those things, you know. It's weird sometimes. I wish the YouTube algorithm was less restrictive, you know. Yeah. But
so with future projects and videos, you mentioned having the guest come over to work on the Wind Waker episode. Do you have any upcoming videos or big projects that you're looking forward to that would be kind of outside the norm of what you're typically doing?
Outside the norm, I'm not sure. I got a bunch of projects lined up, so again, that are within the realm of what we're doing, but I kind of sort of already mentioned them. There's the Wind Waker beta quest. We're going to be doing our beta quest videos once monthly. Lately, I've been going to my local gaming store and just borrowing a bunch of stuff. So we have our Magic Knight Ray Earth game gear right here. So just like weird special editions we've been kind of focusing on.
Yeah, you had the videos recently on the what was it? The handheld Game Boy knockoff thing.
Oh, with the Gamecom. Yeah.
I was watching those, and like I seen where you all were talking about how it connected to the internet, and I'm like, did this thing really need to connect to the internet?
They were just a bunch of leaderboards, is what it was. But we've been doing a lot of weird special edition stuff. Like we have the a video on the Toyota Game Boy, which is just a Game Boy that says Toyota on it. Yeah. But it's like, what? Like, you know, even though it's just that, like people, including myself, are like, why? Like, why does this exist? And of course, the simple answer is just a promotion. You know?
I remember. It kind of reminds me of like the really odd special edition stuff. Like a few years ago, there was like the special limited edition of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 or whichever game it was, where it was like $30,000, but if you buy the game, you get this custom Call of Duty themed Jeep with it. Oh. And I'm like, why would someone buy that?
I know. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, so I guess to answer your question, we've been, doing, we have the collabs, we have a lot of special edition console stuff. I'm going to be trying to get my wife on more because people seem to have a really good reaction to her. So whenever appropriate, we're going to kind of throw her in the mix a little bit. We're getting on a more regular streaming schedule. So that's good. People seem to enjoy when we stream. And I'm hoping to, with our beta stuff, do a beta quest video, and then later that day do a stream of that game.
Oh, that would be really cool.
So that way people can be like, hey, I had a question about this part. Can you show me that again or whatever? And that way we can kind of pair those two and marry them a little bit, which I think will be fun.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say really more like little tweaks on what we've been doing, including that new series on retro audio video tech, which is kind of more out there than what we normally do, but kind of just tweaks on what we've already been doing, kind of trying to figure out how to tweak it so it works even better, I guess. So,
all right. And what are your hopes now for the channel? And when did you notice it starting to grow? I want to use the word success because that's how I look at your channel, but I came across an issue where I was doing an interview with Yuri of Wind, and I asked him, when did he notice his channel becoming a success? And he kind of hesitated and was like, I guess you could call it a success, but in my head I'm like, you have 300,000 subscribers, obviously it's a success. But maybe the person working on it doesn't consider it, because a lot of people have that drive to just keep making it better and better.
Yeah.
So instead of success, when did you notice that you were creating sort of a fan base, or people were coming to your channel as a destination to where I want to watch this next video by Hard4Games?
Yeah, I was asked a similar question from actually John's father. He's like, what's the magic number for Hard4Games? I'm like, I'll never be happy. I told him. But, I think that the type of videos we do, like, there's always a chemistry between the hosts, and I think people really like that. And I think people, in addition to like, oh, I want to check out this rare game or this rare N64 disk drive development hardware or something like that, they like the chemistry between us, right? So those people that get into that are like, I'd like to say really more so the true Hard4Games fans, because they're just insanely loyal. Like in a very good way. Like, they're just there time after time chatting with us or joining us on Patreon or jumping into our Facebook, and so I noticed it early on that we were starting to cultivate a little bit of a base. And we even did a couple of HardCons, which was our Hard4Games convention, and people would show up from other states to hang out. So it was kind of cool. Like, I was kind of shocked. Now, in terms of like the numbers, like the quantity of people, I didn't really think of it was a quote success, but I think early on, in terms of like the quality of the interaction, I think it was very good, and I've always been very, felt blessed because of that. In terms of like numbers, more so, I mentioned that I went to go visit MetalJesusRocks, and I was in 2 of his videos, and he's been one of my YouTube idols for a while, and he has, I think at the time, 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers. So when we did that, a lot of people funneled over to our channel, and then suddenly we just, I don't want to say blow up, because we're kind of still a smaller channel, in retrospect, compared to Yuri, or compared to PewDiePie, or compared to like some of those big guns. Of course PewDiePie is the biggest, obviously, but with Yuri, like his channel's been around for a while, and it's always had great viewership, so I don't even consider myself anywhere near that level. But we did notice after visiting Seattle with Metal Jesus that our numbers definitely started going up, which was kind of when we started to reevaluate how to structure the show and focus on analytics a little bit more, and make sure that we were pleasing all of these new people as well.
And for those that don't know, the videos that you did with him were talking about developer carts, I believe, for the 64 disk drive?
Yeah, exactly. So he found a one-of-a-kind prototype of the United States retail disk drive. Now, the disk drive was never released in the US. It was only Japanese. So his was truly an NTSC USA prototype. But for some reason, there was a blue development disc with it, which of course couldn't be read because of retail and development, they don't talk, basically. So I started chatting with him, and he's like, "What do I need to do to read this disc?" And I was basically like, "You can't," because he couldn't. He like there's being able to find the hardware to be able to do that. Like he would have been looking for another 10 years.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm like, but I can send you my developer like unit, but like I trust you because I've watched your show for so long. But please be careful.
Yeah,
you know,
it's one of those things. It's like it's
a one of a kind.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't be able to buy.
Yeah, no. Well, the thing about mine is that it's rare, but then it also self-boots. Normal 64DD development systems need additional hardware to plug into it to boot. Mine doesn't for whatever reason. I don't know why. So not only would you have to get this rare item, you'd have to get like 2 other rare items. You know, and you'd be like $5,000 in, right, before we figured it out. So I sent it over there. And I'm like, you know, I can also back him up if you need me to. And he's like, just help me out. I'm going to fly you out.
Oh, wow. And
he flew me out to Seattle, hosted me at his house. Really a great host, really nice guy. And then we shot 2 videos. And it helped my channel, like, blow up. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I was just like, God, you know.
Because I watched the episodes, and you mentioned that you were a big fan of him and stuff. Was he, like, did he reach out to you, or was it you reaching out to him?
Our viewers had reached out to us and was like, Metal Jesus has a blue disc. And we had previously done a video where we're like, if you guys have a blue disc, let us know, we'll read it, we'll preserve it, we'll do this, we'll do that, which people have done since that point, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. Like, holy crap, you know. So I reached out to him, and there was almost a little bit of a language barrier because I had been living in the DD world for so long, and he was totally new to it. So he's like, well, what if I do this? I'm like, that isn't going to work. He's like, well, why? I'm like, because you need this. Well, what about this? I'm like, you know. So we went back and forth trying to figure it out. And he was like, okay, you know, I really appreciate the help. You know, at first he was just like, hey, can I borrow an image of your DD unit for my video? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I sent it to him. He credited Hard4Games. And then he was like, you know, hey, like, how can I get one of these? And I'm like, you know, if you want me to, I'll ship it out. You know, he's like, I'll be willing to pay for it. And I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. I loaded it up with insurance on the way over there, and eventually he was just like, hey, can you help me? Can I fly you in? And I was like, yes, but it has to be relatively soon because my wife was pregnant at the time.
Oh, wow.
And she was still a couple months out before labor, but you never know. It could be premature. I didn't want to be in Seattle. I live in Detroit area.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be across the country when we had our kid. So I just went out there and, you know, I had the appropriate hardware to try to figure out how to dump everything, which is basically preserve it. And, you know, we've got everything preserved. The IPL, which is the firmware of the system, the contents of his blue disk, did my IPL as well while I was there. And other than that, like, we just played games, had beers. He took me around Seattle. We went to Nintendo US headquarters, which was really cool. Like, just a nice guy, you know. I may not be remembering all of those details in order because between now and then I had a baby, and what happens when you have a baby is your sense of time and space gets totally warped. Your mind kind of like melts a little bit. So I'm half the man I once was, but alas, that's
congratulations on the baby, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I think he's pretty good. I like him. So. Does that kind of answer your question, though?
Yeah, it's just really interesting to see how, like, one person had something, didn't know what to do with it, another person knew how to deal with it, but maybe they didn't necessarily know of each other's problem, or however you would describe it. But your fan base that was also fans of him kind of put you two in contact. I think that's really a cool way of seeing how the community can kind of work together to solve problems.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say that because, you know, a lot of the content that we took a look at, you know, I mentioned this Game Gear earlier, is borrowed. A lot of the early DD stuff we showcased was borrowed.
Yeah.
From our viewers that have since become friends. A lot of the blue discs, like one of our most popular video is us writing the disk drive version of Mario 64, which apparently they made a test version of Mario 64 for the N64 disk drive, and utilizing the software that Luigi Blood, who's one of the godfathers of the DD, wrote. We were able to take my drive, take a blue disc that someone sent me, test it, make sure there's nothing on it, and write Mario onto it. And the video, people were really into it. But it was like 4 people coming together to figure everything out. You know, it really is a testament to the community functioning as a unit, which is part of the reason why I sent him my disk drive. Was because I was like, you know what? You know, people have always been kind to me when it comes to this kind of stuff. Let me return the favor. It'll be good karma, whatever. And hopefully something good will come of it. And it did. He tested it. It worked. And he felt he could trust me, and he flew me out there. So, you know,
cool.
it was, yeah, it was crazy. It was weird, in a really cool way, I guess you could say. Which, if any of your viewers, yeah, because you're staying at a stranger's house, right? But you have watched them for years.
Yeah, it's like,
you know what I mean?
Especially I think that's the odd thing that kind of separates, I guess you would call actual celebrities to celebrities on YouTube. Even if they're not that popular, there's still a lot of people that watch them. So in a way, there's still a lot of people that look up to them, respect them as someone would if they were like a big Tom Cruise fan or something. But usually an interaction with someone that you find that you watch on YouTube would be completely different than an interaction of someone that's like in a famous band or in a movie or something. Yeah. So seeing people go to conventions or whatever and actually hanging out or talking to these YouTube people, even if it's someone who has like a bunch of subscribers or whatever, I think it's really cool in a way, and it shows that they're not as different as you are, because I think a lot of people look at people on YouTube as like, oh, they have 100,000 subscribers, 50,000, 500,000, however many. They're probably really busy, but then you get those moments to where you come across them, meet them, and hang out for a few minutes or whatever. So I think that's really cool. So like the fact that MetalJesusRocks, who has, in my opinion, an insanely successful YouTube channel and a really dedicated fan base, he still had the time to like fly you out, talk to you, hang out with you and everything. And it wasn't just like, hey, you have knowledge or use of something that I need, and then like flying you out, doing that, and then sending you back. It was like he was actually hanging out with you, as you said, driving you around, showing you stuff. So there was like a friendship element to it that I really like whenever I look at people, because there are some YouTube people that are just like, oh, I'm better than you, I have 1 million subscribers. But then there's the people that are like more willing to be friends with people and stuff. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was, you know, obviously there's a benefit for him because I was helping him out. There's a benefit for me because it was like, whoa, cool, like I get to be on his channel, like that's crazy. Yeah. But he definitely went out of his way to be an amazing host. So, and then to your point, like I don't often like get recognized and out in public, but occasionally I do, and it's so cool. Like it's so awesome. Like I'm so tickled by it. You know what I mean? Like it's. Like I really like the community. Like there's just so much fun to like, you know, chat with these people. It's like these are, you know, these are our people. These are people that love Zelda, love retro gaming, like love this stuff. Like it's yeah. And when you meet them, because they're a fan of your channel, you automatically have a lot in common that you could talk about, whether it's past videos or retro games or whatever. So I think that's really cool too. I don't know if that was a snobbish thing to say, like, oh, I get recognized in public or whatever. Oh, no. Like, I meant it more like it's, you know, there's a nice community aspect to it, which I really enjoy. Yeah, there's been the gist of it. The situations to where, like, I've never had someone come up and be like, hey, you're this person on YouTube. But there has been the moments, because I live in, like, a very rural area with not a lot of people. But whenever, like, I'll go to the mall or to the grocery store or something, there's the few times where it's like someone will give me a look that makes me think they might recognize me, but then it's like it could be someone from like
10 years ago in high school or something.
Yeah.
So you never really know. Like
someone who kind of recognizes you, but maybe is too shy to say something or whatever, you know. But I don't know. Right. But I think it's cool. You know, I think it's a nice thing. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, you do videos and you get to comment with people. Like, they go back and forth, and I built some great friendships from my YouTube channel.
Yeah, definitely. So. I think like the money and everything is really great because it means I can focus on YouTube as a job instead of having to go out, work a job, then come home and like do family stuff, and then YouTube is like a side thing. So it's really cool that I can put more time into YouTube. But I think the best thing that I've gotten from it is the friendships and relationships that I've had with people, whether it's been like, I guess, business relationships you would call it, or there's some people that's like I used to be huge fans of. Now I'm just talking to them casually like I would a normal friend. So it's really cool that happens. Plus, like, I started a Discord recently for people who are fans of my channel, thinking there might be 5-10 people join that would like to say hi, but now it's like 400 people, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's great.
What's up, everybody? Game Over Jesse here, and if you enjoyed this video and are into awesome, nerdy, geeky content like we are, consider subscribing to Geek Fuel, a monthly subscription box that is guaranteed to have over $50 worth of great stuff in every box. You'll receive an exclusive shirt, games, collectibles, and other geek-related greatness. Use the link geekfuel.com/GameOverJesse to not only get $3 off of your subscription, but to help out our channel as well, which means more time to work on more videos for you guys. I want to thank you all for watching this video, and welcome to the End Slate. If you're a fan of these videos, please subscribe and comment below to let me know your thoughts. If you would like to support this channel, please consider supporting on Patreon, where you can watch videos like this early, and help me create longer videos like the top 10 best and worst of Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, and the top 5 official Zelda games that have either been cancelled or just went unreleased. Finally, a huge thank you to this month's supporters: George Says Hi, Link Uses the Triforce, Transcendent Sacred Courage, Glenn Cassio, Prey Warrior, Victopedia, Rusty Caulfield, Robert W., Amanda Pina, Lunarium, Chris Gasparin, Harris Priest, Lovable Christie, Key of Time 15, Jerome Measure, Daryl Quinnen, Furzin 16, Kadron, Magic Tech Review, and The Itch Network.